Welcome to this video. Today, I've got a really interesting topic for you. So this is going to be the 7 mental barriers that are holding you back from 7 figures. So we'll jump right in, and this is going to be an interesting one. Obviously on this channel, I have a lot of information about how you can get started in this business, a lot of practical guides. You can see the other videos after you watch this one. But there's one thing I've noticed over the years of doing this that holds back a lot of the clients that we work with and a lot of the people that get started. These are the main major roadblocks that when you watch this video, you may think, actually, this may be the reason why I have not actually moved the needle, why maybe I've tried lots of different business models. Maybe you're the type of person who you watch this and you can see now on my screen, you've tried loads of things. Your attention has been almost scattered between a lot of different things. Or maybe there are certain subconscious reasons as to why you've never actually got involved with this, aside from the obvious ones, like you think it's a scam, you think it's not legitimate, you think we're all just lying here, right? And I can tell you that's not the truth. So what I want to do is share with you what are the main blockers here. And some of these things, if you actually take some notes and think about this properly, may be holding you back from 7 figures. So the core model here, which you can see, is everything, absolutely everything hangs off of this. And that is your identity. Now, you may have heard people talk about this. You may have read books about who are you? What is your identity? But your identity is effectively comprised of several elements. And we know this. So your identity here is comprised of your beliefs, what you believe about yourself and about the world. Do you believe that I'm a scammer? Do you believe that you're not good enough? 2 different sides of belief. With decisions, do you believe that you made the right decisions, or do you believe that if you make the wrong decision, what will the consequences be, right? Actions, maybe you've taken action in certain entrepreneurial fields before, or ventures, and they've gone wrong. Maybe you haven't taken action. What's the reason for that, right? And then we've got results. So maybe you've already had results with something that's working and you want to stick with it. That's great. Maybe you have results in your career and that you're kind of content with them and you don't really want to shift too much. And there's a sense of risk. But all of these factors, they tie into who you are as a person. And the ultimate point here is if your identity doesn't change, results never revert. You do not get the results. So I'm going to cover these 7 points at a high level, then we'll jump into each one. The first one is, and this is a fun one, is perfectionism. So you may do this. I'm not ready yet. Maybe you're constantly researching. You're constantly, you're just looking. You're looking around. You're watching videos like this. You're trying to do more research. And that's fair enough. You're researching. You're having a look at what people are saying. But let me tell you something. Your worldview here, that you're not ready, when will be the point where you actually get ready? And maybe the false belief here, which I've written, is if I prepare more, I reduce my risk. That's kind of a natural way of thinking about it. But you have to remember that if you're sort of standing and you're looking at the world, you're only seeing one perspective. You're only seeing your view, and you're only seeing what you're filtering in front of yourself. So there are lots of other people who are doing exactly the same thing, and they're seeing completely something else. But you're talking about the same subject matter. So when you say you're not ready, how are you going to get more information to be prepared? And this is the dilemma. So you can be perpetually stuck watching YouTube videos, reading reviews, reading Reddit, reading different forums about whether it's a good idea, whether you should get into dropshipping or e-commerce. And you feel like the more you read, the more you reduce your risk. But let me tell you one word here, which is there is bias. There is bias everywhere. There is bias in everything you read. There is also selection bias as well in what you read on places like Reddit, for example, where certain places on the internet, you're only going to find, let's put the losers. And I don't mean that in a negative way. There are people out there the successful people won't be in those places. So then you get a bias and you get a skew. So actually your preparation is really potentially hindering you. And that's perfectionism. Second one is worthiness. So I don't deserve success. This is quite a deep one. And charging high prices means you're taking something from someone. So we've had People say, I'd feel bad selling a £3,000 item or a £5,000 item with a markup. And that's an internal belief as to why they don't feel worthy, which is quite interesting. The next one is high ticket is too risky. This is risk paralysis. So the false belief here is that smaller sales is a safer business, selling cheaper products, right? The next one is the experience trap. So I need more experience. People buy from experts who've got years of experience in a certain niche or field. So you don't feel like you're good enough, right? That's another one. The other one is my market can't afford it. So people in this niche are price sensitive. People don't buy these items. Okay, that's a market myth. Then there's obviously the identity too, which is I'm not a salesperson. I can't get suppliers. I can't deal with customers. I'm out of my depth. And they believe that selling is pushing and manipulation. So really interesting. I think you would agree with these, right? Then there's fear of success. I've seen this. Success will change me. What will my family think? My friends, when I do make 7 figures, right? More success is more problems and more judgment. I'll just stay comfortable. Now, maybe you relate to some of these, right? So we'll just have a look at them now in detail. So perfectionism, I'm not ready yet. What's actually happening? And if you relate to this, please leave a comment. Really, really fascinating stuff is that you equate being ready with being safe. Okay. So being ready means you're being safe. So you continually look around. You delay exposure to avoid judgment or failure. Okay. Another big one. So you just keep putting it off. Maybe this is sounding like you, perhaps. Learning becomes avoidance, not progress. Maybe you're watching videos like this, and I think you would agree these videos are pretty good. But if you're watching loads of jargon, loads of rubbish, loads of channels, you think you're learning, but you're not. And then there's no market feedback, which means you're not actually learning. So this is the realization. So the false belief here is if I prepare more, I reduce risk. The reality is you're not getting any market feedback. You're not getting any proper mentoring, any guidance. There's zero real learning. Preparation without exposure is just procrastination. Preparation without exposure is just procrastination. Okay? You've been sitting on the sidelines for too long. Now's the time in 2026 to jump into this. Just saying. Readiness. So the reframe is readiness is created after action, not before. So market feedback is greater than internal certainty. That's how you reframe it. So the fix is to replace am I ready with what's the smallest test. So learn from customers, not from content. Okay? Barrier 2, as we said, is worthiness. So I don't deserve high ticket. What actually is happening is psychological friction around charging more or charging high prices, right? Associating money with guilt, greed, or morality, thinking it's bad that you may be selling these high-end products with a markup, okay? Unconsciously capping yourself to stay acceptable. Underpricing relative to value delivered. So actually not actually pricing as you should, right? And the false belief here is that charging or running a high-end business, high-ticket product business means you're taking something from someone. Actually, you're exchanging value. You're not stealing. So price just reflects the outcome you create, not your self-worth. If you're delivering and selling products at thousands of pounds and the owner, the consumer's getting that value, that's fantastic. So worth is not personal, it's outcome-based. So customers pay for results with speed and certainty. The same is true in our business. When we have our coaching programs, we are able to charge the amounts we do. We have all variety of price points for every single budget. So if you're interested, obviously follow the link below this video and me and my team will try and help you. We'll speak with you and see how best we can help. However, you have to understand that you have to anchor pricing to customer outcomes, not self-image. So shift the focus from me to what this enables for them. So actually your high-end business is giving them a lot of value. You're helping them. You're giving them products they need. The next one, which we see a lot, is the risk paralysis. So e-commerce is risky, everything is risky, high-ticket dropshipping is risky. And what's actually happening is confusing ticket size with business risk, thinking that this business model is particularly risky, or emotionally overweighting single losses, or ignoring systematic risk of low margin models. So thinking actually Amazon is better or cheaper products are better. That's not right. Or overworking for diminishing returns, putting in too much effort and actually thinking, oh my gosh, if I can make just 4 sales a month and make this money, I'm cheating the system, or it's not great. And actually the risk part of that is, will that continue? Will the business model continue to grow? What happens if other people come into this? And so the way we look at this is And the false belief here is that definitely smaller sales is, the false belief is, yeah, smaller sales are safe for business. That's not true. The reality is that volume businesses are more fragile and there's more dependencies, tighter margins, and less control. So the reframe is that risk is fragility plus dependency plus margin pressure. So actually, with what we do here, we have fewer customers, but more control. That's really, really important. So yes, every business is risky, but from a first principles point of view, you're not buying stock, you're using local suppliers, you're running some ads, there is a cost to that, but you have no overheads. So actually, this business with fewer customers and more control is safer and less risky. You've got to evaluate everything at the model level, not the transactional level. So prioritize margin, control, and your buffer. And that's what we teach. And it really, really de-risks the business. So the next one is the experience trap. We see this a lot. I need more experience. And what's actually happening here is mistaking experience for authority. You're waiting to feel legitimate before acting or buying a program or actually getting involved. You've got fear of being exposed as an imposter. Maybe this is not your career. You've had a career doing something else. And perhaps overvaluing how good competitors are in the marketplace. Trust me, they're not that good. And you can build a business in any niche. So people buy from experts with years of tenure, years of experience. That's the false belief. Actually, people buy from those who understand them. So customer empathy beats credentials. If you build and position a business correctly, people will buy from you even if you don't have any experience, right? Or don't know what you're doing. So experience is not equal to value. So relevance and clarity matter more than years. So you have to have a focus, one avatar, one problem, one outcome, one niche, one store, and some suppliers. So it's becoming deeply ingrained, not broad and trying to create the next Amazon. That's definitely not what we do here. So the next one is the market myth. So my markets or the niches that I choose, they can't afford it or they won't be able to afford it or it won't work. And actually this is projecting your own potential spending limit onto a market. So I've had some clients of ours and students say, why would these 40, 50,000 pound items sell online? What do people buy that? Yes, they've got the money to do it. Then the next one is, why would they buy from me? Well, they may buy from someone else, but the markets are big enough so that you'll get your fair share. And it's only a very small percent, less than 0.1%. And you're still doing very, very well. They treat the market as uniform, as I say. So then aiming at the loudest, cheapest buyers, and then they're competing on price instead of value, right? So ultimately this is people say, well, people can't afford these products. Why would they buy from me? And they're price sensitive. The reality is that every market has premium segments. That's what we're going after here with our model. So the right buyers exist. They're not loud, okay? And this stuff isn't talked about, but there is money out there. So you don't need all the buyers. You don't need to outcompete, if Walmart, Target, or Argos, or Currys, or Selfridges, whatever it is. You just need the right buyers. Profit comes from serving the top segment, and there are plenty of people who will buy from you. So it's identifying the right niche, the products, and then delivering on that. So the next one is identity conflict, which is I'm not a salesperson. I can't deal with suppliers. I can't deal with customers. And actually, this is associating selling with manipulation. So you're manipulating a supplier. You're manipulating a customer. You're resisting behaviors that clash with your self-image about what skills you have or you don't have. You may be avoiding conversations that create revenue, and you're over-explaining instead of guiding. So let me explain. The false belief is that selling or trying to get suppliers, or how would I get suppliers? I've got no business experience. How would I get customers? You believe it's pushing a manipulation. You're trying to manipulate someone. Actually, high-ticket businesses and the way we operate is diagnosing and advising. It's decision and support, not persuasion. Okay? So the reframe here is that the sales you make are helping someone choose correctly. You're a consultant. You're not trying to push anyone. You're not trying to push your suppliers or cold call them to get them to work with you. You're helping them sell their products. So this identity shift is taking you from a seller to a consultant. You ask questions and you help them decide. And that's the way you bring on suppliers. It's the way we get amazing world-class brands. And it's the way we make sales too. The next one is that the final one here is fear of success. So success will change me. So actually, this is associating success, and it can happen maybe subconsciously with loss. So relationships, friends, values. Subconsciously, you may be self-sabotaging when you're actually about to grow. You may keep yourself relatable at the cost of progress, and you may create unnecessary problems where things work. So you may believe falsely that more success is more problems and more judgment, right? However, success amplifies who you already are. It doesn't create a new person. It just reveals and empowers the existing one. Okay. So success is a tool. It's part of your toolkit, not a personality change. Okay. So the more resources you have is the more choice and impact you have. Right. So the fix here is to define your values, reframe success as a responsibility, not a threat. Really, really key. And we have a lot of people who come to us, they have all of these blockers. And the whole point with the mentoring, the program we have on my team, whatever level you're at, please book a call with us. Please speak with us, because we'll be more than happy to speak with you about these things and just to help and guide you. That's the whole point. So these barriers strike at different stages of the identity loop. And you can see here, you've got your beliefs. So if we start with results, we've got B1, B2, B4. So when we have results, we've got I'm not ready yet. We've got I don't deserve higher ticket, and we've got I need more experience. Okay, as part of the results. Beliefs, these come from your high ticket is too risky. That's a belief, right? It's the whole model's risky. My market can't afford it. That's a belief. That then goes into your decisions, and your decisions into your actions are I can't do this. I'm not good at sales. I can't convince people to do it anyway. And actually, if I do get results, then success will change me, right? So you can see how all of these 7 mental barriers, they just feed into each other. It's a self-perpetuating machine between your beliefs, your decisions, your actions, and your results. And ultimately with this, the only way you will move forward is you can do it by yourself. You can absolutely try and break each of these beliefs and overcome them and, go on your own and follow that route. But if you have guidance, you have mentors, you have systems you can follow, one by one, you'll break those beliefs down. And that's what we do here at Dropship Circle. So if you've liked this video, please comment, like, and subscribe. And please also click the link in the bio. Me and my team will be so honored to work with you. We do also have the option to build the business for you, take a lot of the heavy lifting off your plate. So yeah, check the link in the bio, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.